In 3, 2. Hey, Shane. So, talk to us about internal marketing. Tell me one or a couple tactics or strategies that will help bring in new patients and help us better utilize this platform or this type of form of marketing.
Yeah, sure thing, Michael. With our company, a lot of times we're talking about bringing, patients outside of the office into the practice as new patients, via marketing. But it's just as important to have your internal marketing, on point too. And I'm really glad you're doing this series because I think that's something that really needs to be addressed in every practice. We can all do better at it. But one thing that I have seen with, number of dental practices that we work with, we have found that offices who do this community day for their patients actually build closer bonds and relationships with their patient base, which then lead to more referrals. So when I say community day, you're probably thinking, oh, what exactly, is that? Well, for example, a lot of times they do this in the summer, especially because it's nice outside and things like that. But they'll have, an event outside the office where they'll, cook out, or have food catered. They'll have some different games and things for like kids to play. And they basically invite their entire patient base to this, and they use a number of different ways to promote it. One, leading up to 2 months before that event. So let's say if you're doing the event July 1st as an example, in May you would start to notify patients about this community day that you're going to be hosting at the practice, and raffling off tickets for a new TV or whatever the case may be. You definitely want to have some sort of prizes there for that. And then you start to share that message with them in those months leading up to it. Many practices will create like a flyer and then have like a QR code where people can scan that QR code and RSVP for the day as well. And then another way to do that is using your patient database, your email list, to then send out an email, because you should be sending out, in my opinion, an email at least once a quarter to your existing patient base on updates in the practice or whatever the case may be. So for this quarter, you send out an email letting them know about the Patient Appreciation Day, some of the different gifts and prizes that are going to be auctioned off, and you make sure you're wording it in a way where they know you're just doing it as a way to say thank you, to your patients and to the community for, everything that they do to support the business. And you will be surprised. A lot of people, if given enough time in advance to prepare for an event like this, are going to want to go and support, a small business, especially if, you have a good relationship with them. You're going to be having some games and stuff for kids that, makes it family friendly. People, want to go in and support that and have something to do there. So that would be my biggest piece of advice that I would give, again, just based off of what we've seen with other offices. And you can even, to make a little bit more productive as well, you can use that day as a way to promote like clear aligner, and almost doing like a Invisalign day or a clear correct day kind of in one, where that same day, you can have someone dedicated to do scans. And if somebody wants to do a scan and start treatment that day, they get an extra discount as part of like your community day special. So you can do, some dentistry driven activities with that. And then also just coupling that with, like I said, the fun and having a spin wheel. Just think of it, treat it as if it was something that you were going to like a local farmer's market or something where you would have some games set up. That's exactly how you would want to treat it. But again, just make it your own. And before you know it, you may have an annual thing that builds up, and people, are going to look forward to it. And at the end of the day, what that's going to do is build deeper relationships with your patients. So then that way they're going to refer more of their family, more of their friends, because how many dental offices have a community day for their patients? Not very many. So that's one way that you can stand out and start to really build that internal marketing in the practice.
Yeah. It's like a field day kind of thing for the patients and everything, or the people in the community like that. How much would you say? I don't know how many of your clients have done this or anything, but like, what's a good budget for this?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, you could do this for, as little as, $300, is putting this together between, the food, especially if you're going to like cook the food there yourself and do like just like hot dogs or something like that, or maybe you budget for a little bit more if you're going to have something catered in. But really, a lot of these prizes and giveaways can be less than $100 for most of these items, or for the bigger items. And then a lot of the decorations and things like that, I mean, you're talking just a few 20-30 bucks to be able to put together a really cool event. You don't have to go crazy all out. But I would say from offices that we see, they'll budget anywhere between $300 and $500 on the high side, including all gifts and everything too, and which is not bad considering it's one time a year that you do this. And the number of referring patients that you can get from maybe not that exact event, because you do want to encourage people to bring their family, bring their friends, and it opens up a conversation. But let's say you don't get patients that sign up right from that event. The rapport that you're building with your patient base, though, it could lead to 2, 5, 10, 20 referrals over the next 6 months from that. And so when you look at the ROI on $300 or $400, $500 tops on something like that, and the impact that it can deliver, you're looking at a pretty substantial return if you look at it in the bigger scheme of things.
Yeah. Should each team member have like a position? Like, should there be a team member who's like, all right, you're in charge of making sure you're getting any new person's information down, right? Or anybody who's interested. The other person's in charge of distributing information, or just being like, hey, we're offering today at the same time, like this many exams or whatever. Should each team member have like something like that?
Yeah, everybody should definitely play a role in this, whether it's making sure that any guests that are brought along are being communicated with and offered to sign up to schedule a new patient appointment. And if you have online scheduling, having an iPad there in handy, and being able to offer that to the patient so they could book that right then and there. Or same with Clear Correct or Invisalign consults, Sure Smile consults, anything like that. That there should be one person dedicated to that role. And then that allows, especially like the dentist and the office manager in particular, their role should be to communicate with people that are coming there. So they should be the ones going and introducing themselves, saying, hi, thanks for stopping by, starting those conversations. If somebody did bring a friend or a family member along with them, so they can kind of get to know you. Because what's happening when you do that is you're starting to show, hey, we're just regular people, right? We just so happen to, be dentists or run a dental practice. And so when you're able to break that intimidation factor that so many patients have when it comes to going to the dentist, doing it in this format, in this environment that's a very safe environment for them, is very impactful. Because if they be able to have a conversation with you or your office manager, their friends or family already know you and go to the practice, and they see this really cool event, why wouldn't they want to become a patient at your practice?
Yeah, that's true. So then, what about the people who are just like driving by, walking by? They can join?
Heck yeah, invite everybody. That's what I say. But anybody that you can, have them out. And the other thing too, especially if you're in a smaller town, I tell people, like, reach out to like the local newspaper. And like, I mean, heck, you may get a little spot in there where, like I said, especially in the smaller communities, where you can promote that. Same with like the Nextdoor app or many of these Facebook community groups. It's a way where you say, this is an event where we're just thanking our current patients and the community. But if you're not a patient, come on by. We would love to meet you. We'd love to hang out, and we're going to have food and games and everything. So it's a great way, again, to just invite anybody there. But the patients, they're the core group that you're going to invite to this event, because they're the ones that are going to be able, more than likely, to invite friends and families, and really be able to to know that. One other thing I would like to add, Michael, is just kind of a bonus. We were just having this conversation with an office last week, and we were talking about who some of the patients top referral, or some of the top referring patients were in the office. And the practice I was talking with, they work in open dental, and they actually have a referral source that they write down what patient referred. And at the end of every year, they count up like what patients referred, like the most patients out of everybody. So let's say if you have 6 patients in your office that just above and beyond, refer their colleagues, their family members, friends, sending a personalized thank you gift, to those individuals as well. And again, it's all just about relationship and building, this kind of community type feel. But that's something that, before I forget, I just wanted to mention is a way to reward those people who are referring to you currently and get them to continue to refer to you in the future. If you just send them a thank you gift or whatever it may be, gift cards, those are huge, and just building that rapport with that patient, saying thank you for everything that you do. So in addition to the community event, that's something that I think a lot of offices could take advantage of, is just looking at who are our top referring patients currently, who refers their friends and family, and making sure that we're have a touch point to thank those individuals.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So then what mistakes would you say we need to be aware of when creating this, where you feel like, oh, a lot of people make this mistake and you're not going to see the best results from it?
Yeah. Two things. One, not giving enough time to let that, event, invites and let it grow, because we can't look at it and be like, okay, 3 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, we want to do this. It's just too tough. It's too tough on your team. It's going to be too tough to get a commitment, because it may be too late by that time for, people. It's like, oh, it's only 3 weeks down the road or 2 weeks down the road. Yeah. I mean, we've already got plans. So give yourself time for this. Number one, I say 2 months minimum, but you should be planning this several months in advance with your team, right? So this conversation should be happening 4 or 5 months before the event. So that's number one. Second thing is don't give up too early. And this is with anything in marketing at all, is the first one, you may not have a huge turnout for it, and that's okay. If you get 2, 3, 4 patients turn out to your first one, don't look at it as a complete failure. It's something that you have to do consistently, just like with anything. Going to the gym, you have to do it consistently to see results. Same thing with your marketing. If you have an event like this and the first one, you're like, it just didn't turn out, you're going to learn things that maybe didn't work as well. You're going to also learn from that. And for the next one, you're going to be prepared. And so I say, don't give up too early on this. Do a few of them, make sure you have some practice. You and your team get to learn what works and what doesn't. And just consistency is key. And I think you probably see it too, Michael, in their ground marketing, is people do one event and they're like, well, it didn't work for me. It's like, well, you got to do it more than just one time. Like, you got to, do it several times. And then from there, we can actually get, feedback and data from it.
Yeah. I'm sure like community days and patient appreciation days, if you were to do it often, right? Like once a year, it gets bigger and bigger. It's like snowballing, right? It gets more and more, just like Invisalign days, right? You can add that an Invisalign day in there, and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So, but I like that. Also, give yourself time, because sometimes we might hear this episode and be like, next week we're doing it, and it's like, well, it's a little bit a rush. So it does involve a lot of planning, especially if you want cool prizes and stuff like that. A lot of people there. So,
yeah, you want it to be, something where, because you can take photos of it, use that in your social media to promote for the next, year's event, or, however you want to do that. So it's definitely, you want to do it right. And I think the biggest thing that I see offices get hung up on is they almost overthink, where they're like, well, we want it to be so perfect, but then that perfectionism leads to this paralysis where they don't ever get started, because they're like, we just don't have the time to make it as perfect as we want to. It's okay for it to not be perfect. You just want to be able to make sure you're prepared as much as you possibly can be. And like you said, it right on the money. It's like, you have to do it, continue to do it. You'll be known for doing these after a while. And, you may have a patient who didn't go to the first 2 times you do it, but that third time they're like, you know what? Heck with it. I'm going to try. I'm going to see what this is all about. I'm going to go, participate. And, that one patient could turn into 10 referrals. You never know. But I would say budget that into your, even just $500 for the year, just to market yourself with one of these type of community days. It's really cool. And you may actually just have fun while doing it too.
yeah. It'll be nice. Awesome, Shane. I appreciate your time. And if anyone has further questions, you can find them on the Dental Marketer Society Facebook group, or where can they reach out to you directly?
Yep. Or they can reach out to us at crimsonmediagroup.com. And we're full online marketing dental company, Google ads, SEO, web development, brand, logo creation, photography, videography. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to help you out.
Nice. Awesome. Guys, that's going to be in the show notes below. And Shane, thank you for being with me on this Monday morning marketing episode.
Thanks, Michael.